What is good, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? I I don't even know how to open this show appropriately because we are about to go into a new chapter, if you will, for the Black Baseball Mixtape, especially in 2025. We are going into a chapter that is the postseason. We're going into a chapter that now features back-to-back World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're about to go into a season where we're about to talk about what could have been, what possibly is, and what I believe to be the greatest World Series of all time. That is a little bit of hyperbole, but it's also really going to be argued for a very, very long time. I am joined, as always, by our amazing Monday night crew. The gang is all here. Where we are going to talk heavily about the World Series and the season that was, if you will. We are going to talk about who won and who lost. So, what do you do now if you're back-to-back champion Los Angeles Dodgers? What do you do if you're the Toronto Blue Jays? What do you do if you're one of those playoff teams that are on the outside looking in? And what do you do in 2026 when you know that some of the toughest, absolute toughest negotiations between labor and management are going to be taking place? There's a lot going on. And I am honored to be joined by you all. Please, please leave your questions and your comments where we can find them, where we can read them, where we can support them. And also, I want to thank our partners, as always, the Players Alliance. Shout out to them, who's about to get real busy, even more busy now that they're in the offseason. The Players Alliance, we've got Numbers Game Scorecards, who had an outstanding 2025. Numbers Game Scorecard, a Numbers Game Scorecard was featured on Abbott Elementary just recently, so shout out to them. Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds. They're in the middle of a redesign, but they will be up shortly. And Minority Prospects, where again they're about to get super busy as well, even more busy in the off season because of all the things that they get to do. So shout out to all of our partners. I'm going to introduce the crew as always, and I am going to lead with this question as we go through. Flobo Boys,
What's up?
in your lifetime, is this the 2025 World Series? Is this the greatest World Series you have ever witnessed in your lifetime? I'm not saying all time. In your lifetime. Flobo, my guy, in the booth. Welcome.
Oh, what's
This
up,
Monday
man? In
night.
the booth, yeah. The episodes are out there now. For two teams, I am neutral on, so no skin in the game. I would say, yeah, 7 full series, extra innings, everyone being depleted, multi-inning games. It had it all, and it had the storylines that would hook casual fans. You had the U.S. versus Canada underlying. Like everyone had a lot of things to grab onto. It was a movie, as they say.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna circle back with you. I'm gonna circle back with you for more detail, different questions, more context, but I'll stop there because I want to jump to our very own Butterman Baseball. Malik, was this the greatest World Series you have witnessed in your lifetime?
Greatest. That's a very loaded title. A greatest. I will. It will be hard to really kind of negate the quality of the 2016 World Series that involved the Cubs in Cleveland because I feel like that really was a big moment, formative moment for me in baseball.
Okay.
2017 was also a big one, but I have bias, obviously. And there's a
Okay.
little bit of an asterisk for a lot of folks on that year.
There's no asterisk no more.
Yeah,
Asterisk fell off.
so-
You're
No,
fine.
hey, look,
You're
okay.
fine. You're fine.
as a Astros fan that you are,
Yes, yeah, I will have to admit. So if I could rank them, I would say that I would need to watch it again, but I'd still say that 2016 is the top for me. This one this year has to be number 2 out of the last 10 years, and then 2017 maybe number 3 or number 4 as far as watching quality. But for two teams that I don't have like Plovo was saying, skin in the game for. This was some really good baseball, and I have to say that we were fortunate to be able to witness it.
I like it. I Hey, there's some 2016, 20 something. There's some years in there. I look, there you go. We'll put a pin in that and we'll jump over to our resident Dodger insider, aka Dodger Homer, and celebrate. I'm surprised she's actually on screen, as I'm
Yeah,
sure she's made her way from the championship parade to Texas in record amount of time. All about April. The floor is yours. 10th inning talk. Is this the greatest World Series that you have seen in your lifetime?
Okay. World Series fan April. Well, I would love to say in my lifetime, I too was thinking of that 2016 World Series as well. But for me, I feel like what encapsulates this World Series is that the whole postseason started off great, and it's like it never went off the edge. It just continued to just go up, up, up. And then we had this climatic effect to end the entire World Series. So that's what is giving me the edge over the others, because I feel like I've been on like stressed out this entire postseason. And I was really stressed out watching the game. You know, people texted me, I'm trying to study and I'm trying to, focus. And I remember texting one of my friends and he's like, there will be no parade for us. And I'm like, no, this can't happen. And then Rojas hits the home run. But I want to tell y'all something too. While I'm in the middle of going through my panic mode, my dad calls me and he says, y'all are going to win this game. And I was like, are we watching the same game right now? He's like, no. He calls me in the ninth inning.
Mm.
And he's like, y'all are going to win this game. I'm like, why would you say that? He said, Toronto had their moment. He was like, y'all are going to win this game. He said, the vets are going to show up at the right time. And then he calls me back after Will Smith hits his home run. And he said, that was it, ball game. And sure enough, that was the game. Like, I wish I had it recorded, but he literally called me and told me when Rojas tied the game, he was like, it's over. He was like, they had their moment to win. And you can't let a team like the Dodgers have the opportunity to be able to win. So I'm really, really excited that I have another chance to be able to brag. And today was college day at school. I have two teams that won World Series this year, LSU and the Dodgers. So your girl is extra excited.
Well, we're not going to talk about y'all's governor over there in Louisiana.
Child,
Nor,
please don't. You're gonna ruin
nor,
all
nor
parts of
any other of the
Louisiana.
things that are, nor any of, look, this is a baseball show. This is
Jesus.
a baseball show. So we're not gonna go into detail, April, about what's happened out there in Baton Rouge. But there's a lot going on in Baton Rouge.
Send prayers.
So look, y'all gotta hold on to Alex Baum Stadium and all those guys as much as possible, because everything else around y'all out there in BatonRouge is being real Baton Rouges right now.
That's
They're
why the
being
girl.
real.
Baton Rouges? What?
It's going real Baton Rouge.
Listen.
She know. Look, some of y'all listeners outside of just the baseball world know what I'm talking about, but it's
Mhm.
going real. I mean, and also, look, I digress. We're gonna stick to baseball. But has there been a politician in Louisiana not named Landrew? I'm like, I don't know. It don't matter if it's Republican,
He's
Democrat.
a
It's just
Landry,
Landry.
not a Landrew, though.
Is it Landry? Is it what is it? It's
He's
like
a
all.
Landry, but there was the Landrews prior.
I was like, what is going on? Like, what is with this name? This is like
Yeah.
put it on the ballot. I was like, I don't know what's happening. Anyway,
Kathleen Babino Blanco, and then of course, your boy during Hurricane Katrina, they were there too.
I digress. But hey, look, congratulations to you, April. Back-to-back champions. I did not know how rare back-to-back champions, especially over the last what would you say, like 20? I mean, there were the
It's
Yankees,
a
and
25
I think
years.
before that, wasn't it like the Yankees, and before that was like the Big Red Machine. There wasn't like a lot of like I did not know how rare back-to-back champions are in baseball, and it is rare. And like you
Mhm.
said, if you got to look, you look at that Yankees. I was it the Yankees in the '90s, and then you look at I want to see you have to go back to what the
The
'70s
Blue
with the
Jays. No, the Blue Jays. 92,
oh
93.
92, 93 Blue Jays, right? So it's 92, 93 Blue Jays, which we did see a lot. We saw a lot of the Joe Carter home run. We saw a
Mhm.
lot. By the way, really quick, and I don't want to. Well, we will get back. We will get the show back on track. 92, 93 Blue Jays, though. Ricky Henderson, Dave Stewart, Joe Carter. Was Devon White on that team as well? I know Kelly Gruber was on that team. That team was loaded. That team was loaded. Uh, so I was just throwing it out there because they not only were that team loaded, that team had a lot of African American players in
He
there
was.
in
Oh,
that
White
line.
was on the team.
Yeah. They were something. They were something to watch. And I did not know this. I'd learned this throughout my kind of research. Obviously, Cito Gaskin was the manager of that team, by the way, as well. Like, you can't talk about the team without talking about Cito Gaskin. But I did not fully. I guess I wasn't fully paying attention to all things baseball during 92, 93, in the sense that that team, that back to back team, was I guess during a period where baseball was transitioning quite a bit, and that team was frowned upon a lot. That team, very much like the Los Angeles Dodgers, was looked at as a team that did not feature like homegrown stars and was
Mhm.
like a bought and paid for back to back championship in Toronto. And so I didn't fully kind of understand what was going on around the, kind of baseball conversations at the time. I knew the Blue Jays were a good team, but I did not know that there was like this undercurrent with the 92, 93 Blue Jay, like the back-to-back champions, that was like, this is the new age of baseball. Like baseball's changing. And these are, basically hired guns coming into Toronto to win the World Series twice.
And that team was, I mean, I don't think that team was around for that long at that point, relative to, the grander, like all the other teams. And so I think that when you think about a team like Toronto, and you think about homegrown, and you think about how a team like that gets built, and we're looking at baseball now, how a lot of people are saying, oh, the Dodgers are a team that has no homegrown stars. They just buy championships, buy wins. It just kind of tells you that these are billionaires. They can decide how they want to build their teams the way they want to. And you just got to put pressure on them, hopefully.
Well, Malik, you made the perfect transition because I want to go there, and I want to go there immediately. The Dodgers are an amazing baseball team. We all started this Tokyo series in the 2025 season, right? With the question mark. I mean, the running joke at the beginning of the season, I was making it with April, was that the Dodgers were going to go 162-0 and
Mhm.
sweep through the playoffs. Everybody remembers that.
Mhm.
The Dodgers did not go 162-0,
We did
but
not.
they get into the playoffs. They win their back-to-back World Series. And now instantly, there's some talk, because we're going to talk about the game as well. The actual games are things we're going to talk about. But there's a lot of talk about how the Dodgers kind of constructed this team, how they're paying for this team. And is this kind of, lack of a better term, is this fair? Now, I will say this to Blue Jay manager, who I've really become a fan of over this postseason, John Schneider. He, in the post game conference after Game 7, was obviously emotional, but he said everybody looked at this like David and Goliath, and he was like, "This was not David and Goliath.
Exactly.
This was Goliath versus Goliath, if you will." And again, to his credit, I mean, again, Vlad makes $500 million as well. Don't, like, there's people being paid on both sides here. However, with that said, Flobo, when you look at this Dodgers team, back to back World Series, but it's a team that leads off the game for the most part of their season with 3 MVPs. They've got Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Tyler Glass now, Clayton Kershaw. Like, is this something that we look at and say, well, of course they're going to win. This is the Bolton paid best team money could buy.
The short answer is no, because the Dodgers currently hold the largest payroll at 350 million, and the team that holds the second largest payroll, the Mets, at 344 million, didn't make the playoffs. So you got to win the
Didn't
game.
make the playoffs.
You got to win the. I don't care how you paid for it. You got to win the games, and that says a lot to it. However, and shout out to Freddie Freeman, but this Dodgers team is the least likable team I have seen in a while. I don't hate them like the Padres. Hold on, I'm getting there. The thing, that's why everyone's so defeated. That's why everyone's so deflated about what happened. The games are great, but you really can't feel good about the Dodgers winning unless you are a Dodgers fan, because it does seem, well, you went and got Shohei, when you ain't got Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and when you ain't got this guy in Glass. You went shopping at the other 20 teams. So that's why people are upset. That's why people are like, well, I don't really feel any good like that Cleveland Guardian Indians Cubs series. It was like, I don't really understand that. But at the same time, that does not take anything away from the Dodgers, because they did look more beatable this year than last year. And they took down the best team in baseball in Milwaukee. And it took Toronto to a 7-game series and won. So, like, you can hate the player, but you can't hate the game, because they found a way to make it happen too. So I can guarantee you, anyone who's either neutral or not a Dodgers fan is utterly conflicted, because Shohei is him, but you feel kind of dirty about it.
Wow, I have thoughts, but I'm going to move on because I like where you're going with this. Malik, same question, because we know April's got thoughts.
So, you know I do.
we know April has thoughts on this. So, how do you put that in perspective, Malik? More so what Flobo said. Like, you're a neutral party in this. Do you feel okay with the Dodgers winning, given the play role that they have and the team that they put together?
Yeah, I it's interesting because the Dodgers didn't win 100 games this year, even with the roster that they put together. There was plenty of injuries that they had to sustain, like every team in the league. So it looked like a team that was beatable. But despite, them being a team that had, obvious flaws, obviously they were getting older a little bit, around the margins, you have players in there that are 34 and up who are carrying your team. But at the same time,
how old is Shohei? Shohei's 31, right?
I mean, you got Freddie Freeman, he's 36.
Yeah.
Mookie's approaching 34. Max Muncy, Kike, yeah.
But you said carrying the team.
Some of the parts.
Okay.
And Mookie, some of the parts.
They are a vintage team. Yeah.
That backpack on Latani is pretty heavy.
Yeah, so I'm seeing this team, and I'm like, I have to kind of give it to them for being able to beat a team that pretty much was breaking records the entire, postseason. We have kind of stories that kind of went to waste, like, Ernie Clement, kind of a player that was released by another team, hitting 30, hits in a postseason, something we'd never seen before.
Yep.
And so I think that with the team that they were facing, I think just seeing a team go through the odds and actually scrap it at the end gives them the legitimacy. But I have to agree. A lot of fans probably saw this and were like, dang, of course the Dodgers won, right? They put together an insurance plan for when those things went down during the season. They've had enough depth to get to the postseason. It's almost like there are players that they saved for the postseason, like Kike. So I think that there's kind of mixed feelings from neutral fans, but if you really kind of take a step back as a Black baseball fan, I'm happy just to see, Mookie get his fourth ring and seeing Justin Dean get his first ring.
Yeah.
So I think that we kind of have to take it with a grain of salt here and just appreciate good baseball for what it is.
And you bring up a really, really important fact, right? And especially for our purposes and our goals and our advocacy for Black participation in the game, right? Black fandom in the game to grow. You look at the two teams, and there's a lot to root for, obviously, on both teams. But when you've got Mookie Betts and all that he's done, and him playing shortstop, and if you're following closely, him really going through, even in the World Series, going through emotional struggles and trying to figure it out and getting moved in the batting order from second to third, and having a post-game that I have ideas about the post game show on Fox, but getting to the post game and having like Mookie saying I'm bad and Derek Jeter trying to give him a pep talk on the diocese, you know what I mean? Like, but you mentioned Mookie. Obviously, we can't go far without talking about Doc Roberts, and now
That's
like
right.
he's really building a Hall of Fame managerial career. And so there's that, and then you mentioned Justin Dean, who, if a lot of folks, and me included, when April was bringing up Dean earlier in the season
I
when
did.
he got called up, I'm sitting here figuring out like, who is this dude? Where did he come from? What's it? And I was able to read and learn about the opportunities that he's 28 years old. He's not young. Like
Right.
the idea that he's been, and that was his first call up. He debuted in the major leagues in 2025 and had such a significant play on, I believe it was the Addison Barger
Yeah.
double that could have
Game
scored a
6.
bunch of runs with his ability to play late in the game. Now, look, let me name drop Flobo. I was texting with Clinton Yates during the World Series.
All I'm saying is I'm never invited when Clayton Aces on the show.
No. I was.
Yo,
Come
Flub, take a week off, brother. What?
on, man.
My text string during the World Series was pretty impressive. Most of it from me to other people, and they're just like courtesy responding. But I got some really good texts during the World Series. But no, I was texting with him about Dean, and I was saying I would love for Dean to get in that bat, just like to hit once. And of course, he was like, Dean doesn't need to get in that bat. He wanted Dean to catch the last out, so like that memory is memorialized, and like
He did make a huge play,
But the Mookie, well, again though, when they show the recaps, it's going to be the Mookie double play because that's the last out of the World Series. If Dean had caught like a fly ball last out, you would have saw that highlight forever. So there was a lot of talk about that. But from a Black baseball advocacy perspective, Mookie, Doc, Dean. From a diversity standpoint, both teams had a lot of different, kind of Afro-Latino players. I am always, partial to those that I think speak out on issues beyond baseball. And Kike Hernandez was the only Dodger that did that when it came to some of the things that were happening around Dodger Stadium. So I'm a big fan of his as well. So there was a lot going on. And so that's cool to see. It was cool to see, especially from a kind of Black baseball fandom perspective. April, I know you're ready. I disagree with Flobo. Okay,
You would.
I do, because I think there's a lot of likable players and stories on this Dodgers team.
I do.
Even for somebody that is not a Blue Jay or Dodgers fan, there was a lot of likable stories as well on the Blue Jay side. But I don't dislike I want to make sure I get this straight to you, because Flobo dislikes the Dodgers.
Wrong. I'm neutral on the team. My problem with the Dodgers is the fan experience is dated. I am neutral on the team, but I'm telling you, this team is pretty dang unlikable. Shout out to Freddie Freeman.
All right, I feel like there's a lot of players. There's one player that's really unlikable. There's most of the players on the Dodgers I do like. Malik, before we get to April and give her the floor, just really quickly, do you think the Dodgers are likable or unlikable for a neutral party?
A neutral party?
A neutral party. Do you like? They are not your team, but do you have people that
don't like the Dodgers just because they exist?
No,
I'm trying to find anything that makes them annoying.
This Dodgers team, because I think Flobo is limiting this to this Dodgers team, right, Flobo?
I would say it's gotten worse with this one because I'm sorry. Sorry to cut you off, Milik. I know you asked.
No, you're good. Yeah.
So I never hated the Dodgers organization. I mean, I've learned to hate the Padres. I was always neutral on the Dodgers, but as they've got more wins, which as they should, the price has gone up. And so here, living in Los Angeles and trying to get people to go out to the game, and you have to climb through downtown, through a parking lot with a $9 hot dog baking out in the sun to watch Michael Conforto strike out. But it matters because you look and say, hey, you made it all the way out to Dodger Stadium. Check out this guy, Shohei Ohtani. He's amazing, right? Yeah, but what's that guy doing? What's he doing? What's he doing? There's not many stars that are likable on that level. Now, Dodger fans get mad when I say that because that's their team. Of course, I get it. But I'm thinking about when you talk about different teams, different rosters, different constructions, backstories. Barger's story is way more interesting. Clement's story is way more. Vlad Guerrero's story is way more interesting than Kike when he pitches. He wears a funny hat. Like, come on, man. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I
Neutral
will
the
say
team.
I
there are
love
two
it.
things they do
All right.
that can be unlikable. Like that, it's not the level of they do have a certain arrogance to them, which I guess comes with the territory. I don't know if it's Astros unlikable, you know that that's a territory that it's like unlikable to me. It's like
you're in a category of your own. Like
that's a completely
that's
different
not,
category.
Yeah, that's a different
But
category.
I would say baseball fans are pretty neutral.
It's not even Yankees unlikable.
Yeah, it's not Yankees unlikable.
It's not Yankees unlikable. And remember last World Series, I actually said I kind of like this Yankee team. Like there were certain things about, but if I remember right, didn't Flobo hate last year's Yankee team too?
Oh, they're the Yankees. I'm not neutral in the Yankees. I hate them.
All right, look, we've kept her on the sideline enough. April, let's talk about it. The way that this team was put together. I know for Dodgers fans, it won't take away from the back-to-back situation, championship celebration, joy. But the way that this team has a very large payroll and a lot of amazing players, does that in some way give credence to the people that are, saying that the Dodgers are ruining baseball?
Well, first of all, I would like to plug myself. If you have not listened to episode 23 of 10th Inning Talk, I highly suggest that you go on ahead, download that, and listen to it because I actually cover this exact topic when I discuss are the Dodgers ruining baseball? And I literally go through pretty much every player and I talk about how they were acquired. The only one I messed up on was Tyler Glass. Now he was acquired in a trade. But other than that, when you start getting into players, we have to have an honest discussion about how these players were acquired. To me, like that's not a conversation. It really isn't. That's number one. Number two, do you go to competitive jobs and tell them not to pay their workers because you're offended that they don't make as much as you? No, you don't do that. I don't go to a neighboring school district and tell them, hey, don't pay them as much as me because it hurts my feelings. Because you as a boss should be paying what I make. No, we don't do that. And I know some people are going to say, well, that's not the same. It is. Your owners are choosing not to invest in your teams. That is not a Dodgers problem. That is your team problem. Why are y'all mad at the Dodgers?
No.
Oh, no.
Why are you Flobo? Go get her, Flobo.
Why are you more mad at the Dodgers than your owner? I see more people complaining about the Dodgers than your owner. Like, and I'm gonna speak specifically.
Well, to the credit of Red Sox fans, they're still not over Mookie. A lot of Red Sox fans,
they shouldn't be because he should have never been traded.
The Atlanta fans a little bit more like, we got Matt Olson or whoever, but the Red Sox fans have never really forgiven the Mookie.
Braves fans, I know they're not over the Freddie thing either.
It didn't help that Freddie came out and said I wanted to stay a Brave, but they didn't want me. That hurt. But the Mookie thing, Red Sox fans are still mad about the Mookie thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I even talked about how only 8 teams met with Roki Sasaki. Like there are 30 teams. Why are there?
I don't count that. No, I don't count that.
No, we don't count it because people are saying we're ruining baseball. Then we have to include every single factor involved with it.
I don't think the Dodgers are ruining baseball.
Oh,
I don't think they're ruining baseball either.
I don't think that Yamamoto and Sasaki fit into the same category as Freddie and Mookie because when Shohei came to the Dodgers, it was
a done deal.
Yeah, they have a choice.
And that's what I was about to say.
No, they have a choice that they can play with their friends.
Yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And so I think Sasaki was the biggest, like, it was the biggest no-brainer. Like, you know what I mean? Sasaki to the Dodgers, after Yamamoto was to the Dodgers, after Shohei was the Dodgers, They did the dog and pony show. He put on the Padres gear. He did a couple look high knees, and then he went and signed with the Dodgers because that's what they were going to do. Because there's a pipeline there now. There's a pipeline that is different. That I just think that.
Yeah. I hear you, but I'm saying that there wasn't even an attempt. So if we're going to talk about certain things that we all
hold on, there was an attempt for who? For them to get Yamamoto and Suzuki?
Huh?
There wasn't an attempt for them to get Yamamoto and Suzuki?
Oh, no, I'm not apologizing about the Yamamoto one. People can cry harder about that one. No, I'm not. But if we're talking about Shohei, if you're not even worried about fixing the air conditioner, you really expected this man to stay on your team?
This is what I'm talking about.
All right. Go ahead.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. And again, this is somebody who doesn't even care about I don't even hate the Dodgers, but this is the same exact thing. You have that one rich friend who's like, I work hard. You wouldn't get on my level. You need to work hard too. And then you realize their daddy is sending them a check every month. That's what they all sound like right now. When it all comes down to it, the construction is the way it is of two things. Big pockets to start with, and you deferred money on top of that. That's why people are upset, because Teoscar Hernandez has a deferred contract. Nobody cares. It's that Shohei Ohtani, $68 million 10 years from now when you got the money back is kind of egregious. And I get it. I start off with saying, you got to spend the money you want to. I have the richest owner in baseball, the New York Mets. We are terrible. We haven't gone to the playoffs. But the thing is, if you're in like 9th, 10th, 14th, 20th position in payroll, and you're saying the Dodgers are so far up, I must rather just tank and get the revenue share. That's what's killing baseball. So you can blame all the other owners you want to, but the ones who want to be competitive, who are like tier 1A, tier 2, 8th, 9th, 10th, they're not going to be encouraged to spend $100 more million. They're going to be encouraged to tank the team. And that's why it's a big deal.
Nah.
Come on.
Nah. I love it.
Come on.
I love it.
I quit.
Get richer.
I think you made an amazing point.
I do think you made a good point. But I also, again, we can go back and forth about this as long as we can.
We really can't, because we have to talk about the actual games.
Yes, we do. But I think my point is, when we also get into the actual players of the team, and this is what I talked about on my podcast, y'all can't sit here and say that y'all were really down here twiddling your fingers, crossing them, hoping you could get Miguel Rojas. You a doggone lie. You wasn't sitting down there crying to get Max Muncy, who was sitting at home that they went and called and got. So we also have to be honest about some of the players who are on the team. And even you, Flobo, even you reference the age of some of these players.
True.
So that's really my thing about this. People are not going to be happy about the situation. And of course, there are some players that we just went out, we spent. But as with all work organizations, and I think that is a big part of this, we cannot ignore the fact that all jobs, regardless of whether it's baseball or stuff that we do every day, you have to create an environment where people want to go to be able to work and play, period. It doesn't matter what it is. And that is the part that I think that a lot of people miss out on. Like, there is just no excuse to not create an environment where people desire to want to go that place. Like, they're already having conversations about Tarek Skubal. Like, why are we already having a conversation about someone who's most likely going to win a back-to-back Cy Young Award? That's crazy to me. So those are the conversations when we talk about ruining things. You have it. You're choosing not to use it.
We are going to move on. But I do. I think, April, I think you made great points. Flobo, I think you made great points as well. And
she said, nah, fam. She said, nah.
I do. Again, as somebody that has watched, obviously, this postseason very closely, but I watched the entire season very closely. There are a ton of, I'm the biggest Shohei fan in the world. I really enjoy, I love Shohei. I think Shohei is great. I'm a huge Yamamoto fan. I was rooting for Suzuki to be successful. I was really worried at the beginning of the season when he's crying in the dugout, because he was experiencing struggles that he had never experienced before at such a young age. I think Suzuki's 23. So there's a lot to like about the players. Obviously, Mookie Betts is just 2025 Roberto Clemente winner.
Mm-hmm.
The dude, and again, sometimes I have to be reminded because you'll get stuck on one thing or two things, and when Mookie won the Roberto Clemente Award, they've got a list of all of the community service and philanthropy that Mookie Betts has done to earn that award, and I'm in awe. Like I literally step back and I'm like in awe. Like this guy can do everything. Like this guy's awesome. And so there's a lot, I think, in regards to the actual team or players, individual players on the team of the Dodgers, that I find to be fairly likable, or even some of them really likable. Right, in the case of like a Mookie Betts, I think he's a likable guy. The Blue Jays on the other side, they wrote. I mean, good Lord, did they write an amazing World Series? Now, didn't they write an amazing World Series story? Like, I mean, the Blue Jays. I will tell you this, and I think this is a little bit of what Flobo was getting at as well. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But if you were following from game 1 to game 7 of the World Series, just the World Series, it's so hard not to like the Blue Jays. And so hard not to romanticize about what that team was and how they went about doing their business. And they've got the breakout star in Vlad Jr., and they've got the old man on the hill and Max Scherzer, and they've got the young phenom and Trey Savage, and they've got injured hobbling Bo Bichette who can't really run to second base if he hits a double, and George Springer's like his back goes out on every swing. Like they've got some really, really great narratives. And again, John Schneider, just grit, right? Like that whole team was just grit. Jimenez, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about guys like Kike Hernandez and Tommy Edmonds and Max Muncy, but the Blue Jays, Clement, what was it? Lucas, who's it was a Davis Schneider who leads off game 1 first pitch. I mean, leads off first pitch, and puts it over the wall like against what was it, Blake Snell?
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, they had some really, really great stories. And what was his name? Varlin, who just I feel like he's pitching right now, and I do pitching every every postseason
game
game.
8.
So I say all that to say, let's just pick it up in our minds. We did our podcast last week after 2 games were in the books. So we've got 3 through 7 to kind of talk about certain aspects of the game. Obviously, with you guys, I want to jump to the marathon record-breaking 18-inning game, right? 18 innings. That was game 5. No, that was game 4.
That was game 3.
Oh, 18 was game 3?
Mm-hmm.
Guys, so 18 innings, right? Dodgers win. Freddie Freeman in the bottom of the 18th. This is a game where Shohei Ohtani goes 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, but then gets 5 intentional walks. It was just, was it game 3?
Yes, it was game 3.
Okay, because I was just like,
I
remember
4 and 5, and then we won 6 and 7.
Okay, because I remember Yamamoto was warming up in the 19th, which is another whole thing. But do you think, guys, like when we start to go through the kind of trajectory of this World Series, because again, the Blue Jays did come back and win games after that, some really gutsy games. But do you think that kind of wiped out, like, where do you think the momentum is when you get into a situation of 9 playoff innings, World Series innings have got to be extremely intense. You get to 18 World Series innings where no one scores after the 7th inning. What do you guys think that game did for the rest of the series?
Child, I was exhausted. Let me tell you something. That was first off. I was exhausted as a fan. So I can't imagine what it was like for players to play in the game. Like, I'm thinking of Will Smith. He caught all 18
He caught all
innings.
18 innings. Yes.
And for you to literally go through your bullpen and for you to mentally try to get in at bat and hopefully you can end the game because you gotta wake up and play literally the same night that this game
Yep.
is going on. It was just so intense. As a fan, I completely loved it, even though I was exhausted. As a player, I can't imagine what it was like going through that particular kind of experience. So I do wonder about the fatigue, and I feel like we kind of saw it a little bit. I know I felt it from the Dodgers, and I don't know how y'all felt about the Blue Jays. I'm interested to hear your viewpoints on that.
Yeah, extremely exhausting. But I feel like that's really cool to get extra baseball in the World Series. It's like getting, we say free baseball. And
Yes,
you played at a extra inning game. It's like, wow, those tickets were definitely worth it. Just some people paid a couple months of rent just to get in there,
True.
yes,
to witness this, and so to be able to, I mean, for the fans, I know that was pretty cool. I'm pretty
mhm,
sure that Dodgers and Blue Jays fans started just kind of like relaxing a little bit. They probably came in turned up, and around inning 15, they're trying to offer each other hot dogs, hamburgers,
and
trying to
fruit
get you a
and
beer.
fruit.
And yep. So I guess they were sauced up plenty. I feel like I wish I was there just to just to endure that with everyone. But I think that's just like I hope that in the future we get more games like that. Extra innings in World Series, that's worth it. Just lay it all out on the line.
Well, I
Let
mean,
me also add too from
go ahead.
Malik. He was like, "Who is this Will Klein guy?
I was
Where
like,
Sure.
did
they were
they
like,
find him?"
wow, are they pulling guys up from the minor leagues in the middle of the game?
It was
I
insane.
haven't seen this guy.
I think
Like,
I
And I
text.
mean, he was a
I think I
replacement for
texted.
Vesia.
I think I texted in the group chat that they were about to put like a jersey on an athletic trainer and roll him out there because it
yeah,
was one of those
the
things where,
interpreter was going to pitch soon.
yeah, exactly. It was one of those things where, um, it was, and again, nobody scored after the seventh inning,
Right.
so there was kind of play after play, opportunities there, runners on base, a lot of clutch, double plays, and just really, really, really strong defense as well, and good
Yeah.
pitching that gets you out of jams. I do think that because after that game, the Dodgers go up 2-1. Right. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
all coming back to me now. After that game, the Dodgers go up 2-1, and game 4, Shohei takes the mound. So again,
Hmm.
Shohei takes the mound in game 4 after being up at bat 9 times
Hmm.
and being on base
Hmm.
9 times. And then he goes out there in game 4 and still pitches. What did he go? He went like 6 innings.
Uh huh.
Um
He did.
yes, Shohei went 6 innings with 6 strikeouts. Now they got to him with the 4 earned runs. Blue Jays win that game 6-2. And let me tell you, that's when I was convinced that the series was going to go 7 games because the emotion of going 18 innings, losing the game on a walk-off, and I know everybody's going to be drained. But the fact that the Blue Jays mustered up the,
Mm-hmm.
energy to win that game on the road, ultimately 6-2.
Hmm.
Um, this was Shane Bieber's start game,
Yeah.
and it was one of those ones where it was like this series has got to go 7. It just has to, in my mind, has to go 7. And then I was worried that it wasn't going to go 7 because the Blue Jays turned around and won the next game. So the Blue Jays dropped game 3, but don't they win games 4 and 5?
Yes.
Right? Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So they turn around and win games 4 and 5.
Yep.
Um, and the Dodgers are on the ropes. What would you guys say when you're kind of looking at the trajectory of these games? Was there a game, if you will, that was kind of the pivotal defining moment? I mean, obviously game 7, but was there one earlier in that series after game 2 that you were like, oh, we're in this thing for the long haul?
It was game 3 for me, but it also made me think of 2018 Red Sox, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're in here for the long haul. But we won the long match, and even it made me think of 2017 Astros, because there was that uh long extra
Game
innings
five.
as well.
Game
Yeah.
five. Oh
And
yeah.
I'm like, we lost that World Series too. So for me, it was like, Laura, we won the battle, but are we about to lose the war? So I was keeping my fingers crossed because, it hadn't worked out. But ultimately, this time, the odds just ended up in our favor. So,
Malik, talk to me about, look, before, because I want to dive into game 7 a little bit more specifically as well, but talk to me a little bit about what you saw from the Blue Jays that kind of convinced you, or if you were convinced, that they could win the World Series. And also on the other end of that, talk to me about what you kind of saw out of two guys, you Savage, because there was a lot of talk about Trey Savage, and what you saw out of Yamamoto, who ultimately became the World Series MVP.
I think when they got to Snell twice, after a press conference where he said, I learned a lot. He said that. And for a pitcher like that, you should be worried if he says, like, I knew what I did wrong. I know what I'm going to do right. And the fact that they were to just pounce on him a couple of times as if he didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
I believe this is
the second time he started first pitch.
Yeah.
First and third pitch.
It's almost like they learned a lot from him. And so at that moment, I thought that the Blue Jays figured out all the pitches from all of the Dodgers. It's like at a certain point, you see so many pitches. And I would say out of all the pitchers on that staff, Blake Snell probably has the highest pitch value as far as a pitch per pitch pitcher, even next to Yamamoto. Like fastball, we can talk about that splitter. Yamamoto's splitter is disgusting. But as far as all of the pitches that Blake Snell has to offer, he has probably the best pitch quality as far as overall for a starter. And they were able to just jump on him like it was nothing, like it was MLB The Show. To me, that's when I believe that the Blue Jays figured out the hitting side. But then the big turning point for me for the Dodgers was really game 6, that last play. That I was like, are the Blue Jays really going to go out in heartbreaking fashion just like this at the end game 7? And it almost like was a premonition of what of things to come. That last,
you're saying the double play, Kike catching it and doubling up, was it Barger?
Ending a game in a double play, and then how it ended with another, double play in game 7.
Yep.
It just told me that if the Blue Jays lose, it's going to be so heartbreaking. It's not going to be like a crushing, large margin score. It's going to be something that's really going to make them think like, wow, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I didn't throw this pitch to this player? There's going to be a lot of regret from the Blue Jays, and I think that play kind of turned it over to Dodgers for me very quickly.
April, I know. Look, this will be a good one for you because I both kind of the same thing. Trey Savage. We talked about it a little bit after. We talked a little bit after last week's podcast. But for him to be, 22 years old, the journey that he's been through, he's got more postseason starts than he does AAA starts. But he goes out in game 5, I believe it is, and that's the game where they jumped on Snell early, like
1 and 5.
Malik was mentioning. But he racked up 7 innings, 12 Ks, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 12 Ks. And I mean, obviously, I think if the Blue Jays won the World Series, I think you probably give the MVP to Vlad. But Savage was stating a case there.
He was.
What do you think? Like, talk to me a little bit about what you saw. You've seen this Dodgers lineup quite a bit. What was it about Savage that was just giving him fits?
They just did not. First off, after game one is one thing. I just felt like after game three, they just looked off. Like they looked
Hitting
tired.
wise,
They looked
like the
off.
Dodgers weren't hitting.
Yeah, it was just like it wasn't happening. Mentally, they just seemed not, and I don't want to say checked out. It just seemed like they were mentally fatigued, and Savage was able to take advantage of the moment and really just dominate what we had. And let me also add this too. Watching the Dodgers all season, we have cold plate moments.
Hmm?
And I remember texting one of my friends, and he's like, "This is not the time for this." And I'm like, "You are absolutely right. Like, this is not the time for this." So that was a common fear amongst a lot of people who were sending me messages about us going into a cold moment, because ultimately we were not batting better than they were, and we hadn't really had a great showing, in my opinion, like what we know we could do the entire postseason. There were glimpses of it. So I think it was also just easier for him. Like he just really showed out, and we didn't have enough. I think that's something we also have to remember. What did he have? Like 6 starts the entire
Postseason
year,
or before that, like he had 5 starts in the postseason. Before that, he had
regular.
yeah, maybe 6. I think he had
Yeah.
yeah, it's very not very many.
So for that, I also feel like, the Dodgers are big time analytical. They did not have the stuff to go out after it, but regardless, I'm gonna just chalk it up to he just played better than us. That's it. Nothing more to say. He just played better than us.
And that
For
release
sure.
point, man, like just the way it comes over
Over the
and
top.
like down, you have to like guess way earlier what that's going to be. And Shohei, try as he might, was on his knees like Juan Soto a couple times, just swinging that nut. It was nice.
He sure was.
It really was. Well, the whole
Yeah.
team was. The whole team was in many ways.
Yeah, it seems like
Um,
pitching is the easiest way for guys to get up from the minor leagues, and with the foreignness of his pitches, like you're saying, just like pitches that guys have never seen before, from angles they've never seen, verts they've never seen. You can, I guess, it's easy to get a guy up from single A if the pitch quality is good enough to face major league hitters, and if they haven't seen it before, they're not going to hit it.
Flobo, talk to me about World Series MVP Yamamoto. This dude, I mean, just one of the things I think was the most impressive for me was just the amount of innings the dude pitched. Like the amount of like just lights out innings this guy pitched. I mean, he was throwing. It was almost like a bit of a throwback, right? Like almost like a Bob Gibson type. And when this guy's going complete games, complete game one hitters, complete like what I mean. He's really giving him the business. And I do think there's a lot of like stats that will come out and history that will come out and so forth. Like this when this World Series, when it's all said and done, have played more innings than any World Series, obviously in the history of a
Mhm.
World Series, with the 18 inning game and then Game 7 being 11 innings. Yamamoto starts Game 6 and finishes Game 7 in the 11th inning or something. Like, talk to me about this guy. What was again? I think he's very likable as well. But go ahead,
I got two
Lobo.
shout outs before. I got two shout outs. One about your Savage. I don't buy caps of major league team. It's a hard rule I got, but I want to buy as a Savage jersey. That dude was just and he's still rookie eligible, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Second of all, got to give a shout out to April, all about April, who at the beginning of the year said that Yamamoto might win Cy Young, and I laughed at her. He might actually do it. He might actually do it. Like what?
Yeah, it's a regular
Finalist. He's a finalist.
He might actually go ahead and do it,
All
man.
teams is gonna win it.
But in all seriousness, man, look, we talk about the classic flavors of Major League Baseball and how it changes all the time, and I just a bit chapter and verse about how unlikable the Dodgers are as a team. But I don't really know if you know anything about Yamamoto before this series. If you didn't, having someone go out and go to work is a throwback that puts generations together. I bet everyone's uncle and grandpa was like, back with my day, we did this. And that's what you needed. And that was great to see, man. And yeah, it was different because he's part of the evil empire Dodgers. I get that. But at the end of the day, he had to throw the strikes. And he did it. And he did it in a way that made it look easy. So hats off to him.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the fact that he was telling Doc Roberts, like, I can go. Like I can go. You need me in the 19th inning. I can go. And it was like he's warming up in the bullpen after throwing a complete game, like a complete game, and he's like, "Oh, put me in. I'm ready." And I was just like, "That's just unheard of." And he was just filthy. He was filthy the whole time.
There
I'm just,
was
oh, go
there
ahead,
was a
April.
video of Roki where Yama is going to the bullpen, and Roki's looking like, is he about to go pitch? And they're like, and Roki was all of us like,
Yeah,
he just pitched yesterday. Why would he be going to pitch again? This was game 3.
yeah. No,
When they had the
he,
extra
yeah,
innings.
he
So he was
volunteered to do it.
literally in shock, just like us with him going out there. But it was just so impressive to be able to see that he had that fight in him, that whatever it takes for us to be able to win, he was going to do it.
Yeah, no, he's again he wanted to do it, and it was awesome that Doc allowed him really to do all the amazing work that he was able to do during the World Series. And I will tell you this: there's a lot that was going on in that Dodgers bullpen. Just a lot, being missing 51 is Vesia, just missing him for the entire World Series. Obviously, we wish the best for him personally and his family, but the idea that he was a trusted arm. So bullpen's already a question mark for the Dodgers, and then you have a trusted arm that is not
Wow.
there. And I think throughout the World Series, you really got the understanding that there was a really, really quick leash on Sasaki. Like, as great as Sasaki was in that closer role for the majority of the postseason, I guess it was the Phillies game that they got to him in the Phillies series. And then it was like anytime it looked even tenuous for Sasaki, in the World Series, Doc was like, let's go, let's move. Now, I will be fascinated to find out what happens with Roki next year. Because next year, do you just instantly come back and make him a starter again and see if he has the stuff to ride it out? Or do you start him as your number one closer with more trust? I think more than likely he goes back to the starting lineup, right? Because starting rotation, if he has this stuff with the mechanical changes that he has, and I'm assuming guys like Tanner Scott will be back, it'll be different, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you give him another chance, and I think that what we saw was a guy who didn't have the ideal, debut.
Yeah.
I think people forget kind of the personal tragedy that Roki has been kind of dealing with as a young man, and also just coming to the United States,
Right.
trying the different food. Just because he has Japanese players on his team doesn't mean that it's easy to get integrated into American society from day one. So now that he's actually came here and he's kind of had somewhat of a soft-ish landing spot, seeing that he has a ring under his finger, I think he can step into next year with a little bit more of a clear mind, but also with a little bit more ownership of his role. He feels more confident, and he's surrounded by champions. So I think it's going to be a little bit better for him to start that opening role. Maybe their number 4 or 5 starter, maybe number 6. They're going to need a lot of starters this year. So.
Let me also add, we're going to get Gavin Stone back because he's going to come back from his injury. We're going to get a couple of pitchers.
Oh, a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah, so
River Ryan.
River Ryan, who's fantastic. We were actually talking about that the other day. Like, what do you do with him? And one of my friends suggested maybe if it doesn't work out that way, it's not a lose situation for him to become a middle or long reliever. Remember, we talked about, especially with this new award coming out for relievers, if some people actually are more apt to going into that.
I'm pulling a Flobo on this one, April.
Ain't
nobody paying Roki Sasaki. Ain't nobody paying Roki Sasaki that much money to be a long reliever.
Can I finish? I'm telling you what the conversations are in the chat. And now whether they do it or not, obviously they probably ain't gonna do it. But
I wouldn't do it. I'm not paying him to be Taiwan Walker.
Damn, I went alone.
I paid Roki a lot of money, right?
No, he's
Rookies get a lot
international.
of money.
He's international money, so it's like $6 million.
Yeah.
It's like what Otani had with the Angels. It's like
Yeah,
dirt.
I'm not paying him that much money to be a long reliever.
Totally get it.
But I
But
get what you're saying.
I'm open. Yeah, I'm open to it, and I think the good thing, and that this is my response was, we can figure it out later, but we have
Yeah.
options, and I like
Have
the
you
fact
really
that we
paid him
have
that much money?
No, his 2025 contract is $760,000.
You're a rookie. You can do it every. I mean, they can do it whatever you want with
He
them. You know,
didn't
just
do he didn't do the international posting, right? He
No,
went
no, he didn't go to the posting, sir. He did the international deal. So like instead
Yeah,
of
he
coming
did
out
like
to free
the-
agent and posted
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like Yamamoto, he came like how
Yeah.
Otani did.
you went an Otani way.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
Otani way.
Yeah. April, really quickly, because I'm never gonna give the other Blake any credit. Do we need to put any respect on Emmett Sheehan's name?
Yes, and I've been saying this, and let's go back to, because Emmett was like a Trey Savage, because he came
Let's
from,
not go
if I'm
back
not
to
mistaken, huh?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. You were
Uh,
like, let's go back to. I was like, let's not
We're
go
not
back.
going back.
no, but Emmett actually was a double A player, if I'm not mistaken, when he was called up. If y'all remember, it was him, Gavin, and Bobby Miller. They all came up at the same time. And so but Emmett was hurt last year. So we didn't get to see quite a bit of him. To see him actually have the inning that he had during the World Series, that last game, I was just so proud of him. So where he fits in the rotation next year, I don't know. He's another one where I think that he's adaptable, he's adjustable. We can go with it, but I'm just happy to see him have a positive moment in the World Series, because he was a little shaky in the beginning, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was not, I'm not as familiar with Emmett Sheehan. I saw a lot of his work during the postseason, and I was like, hey, maybe we should give this give him a little bit more respect on his name, right? Because
Yeah.
again, the whole collectively, the Dodgers bullpen has just gotten like dunked on by commentary the entire postseason. It's like the Dodgers they can win the World Series despite this weak ass bullpen, and you're like, come on, guys, come on. There's people, they're getting a lot of innings in, right? Let's specifically talk about two things. I want to specifically talk about Game 7, and I do want to actually talk about the managers as well, because I think there was some really good, like almost, that was the highest. That was a very high level of managing,
Yes.
managing
Yes.
arms, calling the right plays between
Yes.
both of them, and so I want to talk about that. But let's talk specifically about Game 7. Because that one was also like, that was just an instant classic. You go 11 innings, you're starting Shohei and Scherzer.
Right.
Again, my thing is when it's such a fantastic game, because there was so much that happened in that game that I actually almost forgot that Shohei and Scherzer started the game on the
Right.
mound and pitched multiple innings. April's guy, I'm gonna say this wrong. Warbleski
Robleski.
almost started, like, the bench is cleared. The bench is cleared when he hits Jimenez. After Jimenez does do, I would say, a pretty bush league move and trying to stick his
And he
hand
did.
out to get hit. But then he got hit. Then the bench is clear. Players are running in from the bullpen. I'm gonna stop there and say really quickly, because I do want to go back to some of the big blast as well. Has anybody, like, again, I don't know if this happened before, but when the benches are clearing and players are running out from the bullpen, Flobo, you're watching this. Malik, you're watching this. What are you thinking? Because the first thing I'm thinking is, ain't nobody gonna fight, because nobody's getting thrown out of Game 7.
Roll over my suspension next season.
Right.
I thought it was gonna be a long discussion. I mean, it kind of petered out there, but at least I wanted to see someone pushing and shoving. I thought that would be
Right.
worth it.
They didn't
But-
even look that mad though.
No, I mean, you
They
gotta go for your
really
boys though. You can't sit behind and be like, "Yeah, go
Right.
ahead." You gotta join them. You gotta do something.
Would you like, again? There's a lot going on, Malik. When you saw them literally running, like running onto the field. What were you thinking?
I think it's what they have to do. You know, you see them. They don't really. They go, all right, let's just jog and show that
Right.
we're here.
For the Bullpen,
So
it's a long run for the Bullpen. Just to
it is a
say,
long
hold me
jog.
back.
They don't want to go out there. They probably
Right,
get in the middle of a massage. You're like, hold on.
Yeah.
All right, someone's fighting. All right, we'll finish this up. Okay, let me just put my hands on my hips and act like I'm gonna do something. But we knew nothing was gonna happen. No one was.
When you're standing on the side and your friend about to get jumped, you're just standing there for support. You're not gonna do that.
I came to
even
host.
jumped.
Wow,
They're
what
not
friends
gonna
you
fight.
got?
They're not gonna fight. You know they weren't gonna fight, right?
No one really fights in
no
baseball
one
like that
thought they were
anymore.
gonna fight, right?
We call it facing off in school. They were just facing off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my thing
Not
was,
these teams. I don't think these teams.
so the first thing I thought was, this is getting out of hand for nobody's gonna fight.
Right?
And then the other thing I thought was like, get Shohei Ohtani out of there. Because it's like, you could use this like commotion for somebody to put like a bat to Shohei's knee and just be like,
That would be caught on camera on the
We're
show.
not
Right,
playing the
it's
Padres,
like, oh, we're
Chief.
The Shohei cam is catching everything. He's like, is that
But I
bar
was like,
show?
if
That's a
you're gonna hurt,
Shohei
if you're gonna hurt Shohei right now, like if this is a
John
distraction,
Mattingly sneaking up on him.
so, but no, that I mean, again, there was so much that happened in that game that you forget. Like, and there's so many magical moments. They did a really good job on Fox talking about kind of how we talked a lot about how they built the Dodgers, but they talked a lot about the relationship between Bo Bichette and Vlad Jr. and the fact that they basically have played their entire careers together. And obviously they're both second generation Major League Baseball players, but they're both like, I mean, they're homegrown products in the Blue Jays organization. And obviously Bichette was having a career year and he gets hurt. He comes back for the World Series and he's the guy that hits the home run early. And I'm talking about he knew, like, this World Series has presented a lot of like no doubt home runs, and they treat him that way. Some epic bat flips this postseason, right? Bo Bichette, if that home run had stood, that lead had stood, you would have seen that home run in the way that he swagged that out for a while. But I will say this. I felt good. I felt good about, like, you know, Bo Bichette getting that opportunity, given the season that he had and given that he'd missed most of the postseason. And this is a phenomenal player that I think the world really didn't get a chance to see.
That part.
Yeah, and I hate to say this because I was so critical of them last year, but shout out to the Fox broadcast booth. I felt like they set up the stats. They gave us a lot more contextualizing, so things were important. The song selection was kind of fun. Like, they really made you feel the action on the field this year a lot more than last. Now, granted, the Yankees weren't doing themselves any favors, but I do think the Blue Jays had so many like of these stories that they were just brought to the surface that made you want to look up. Like, why should I care about Barger? Why should I care about Lucas? And they did their job.
Yeah, I mean, I cared about Bo Bichette after. I mean, I definitely cared about Vladdy, but I cared about Bo Bichette after this postseason. But that was a big shot early in the game. Malik, what'd you make of the old man? Because that was, if there was, same thing with what Flobo was saying. I think I don't know if you could really overstate like what Scherzer has done and what he means to the game and all of that stuff. I do think there was a bit much of Scherzer talk, given where he was, like, kind of right now, like where he is as a player. But he's getting the ball. It's, you know, big moment. I'm sure you wanted to give him the ball. I'll ask you, Malik, given you watch pitchers really closely, there was a lot of, the Blue Jays have to pitch kind of how it's set up, but they have a lot of pitchers on their rotation. If you're in this situation, Game 7, did you feel good with Scherzer on the hill?
I think so.
You did?
I think
Because that was the one part I was real like, man, this could go
yeah.
real bad.
Didn't want a bullpen game. We didn't want a
Right.
bullpen game. We didn't. I mean, like for the opener, the bulk guy in Game 7, really. No, put Max Scherzer on there. As long as he's throwing strikes, I think he was gonna be okay. And as he was okay. He actually navigated, I
Yeah.
think, 2 rounds of that lineup, which is not very easy to do. Scherzer, I think that he wasn't throwing the meatballs, so that's the thing. He wasn't throwing too many meatball pitches. He was staying on the zone in the edges because I think at this point in Scherzer's career, he's not trying to blow guys away. Even though the types of pitches that he has are kind of blow guys away pitches, he was working on the margin. So I think you get you go with experience at that point, and I think it was the right choice. Now just given what they could have had, there's a lot of players on their team that were injured. Like imagine if Jose Barrios was not hurt. A
Right.
guy who's never really been hurt, and
And he's
the one
really
time
good
that
this
they
year.
need him, he's hurt.
Yeah.
So it would have been a little bit probably a better of a quality time for the Blue Jays. But I have to give the Max Scherzer doing it at age 41, still shoving it. He looks like he hurts on every pitch,
Yep.
which he probably does. And so just shout out to him for carrying the ball and actually not stinking in Game 7. That's actually was his job. Just don't stink up there, and he did it.
So Scherzer went 4 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. But he leaves the game obviously in a good position, right?
Yeah, he did.
Really
He did.
good position for the Blue Jays. When he exits the game, the Blue Jays are up. And it was just like again, there was just a lot in that Game 7 to really kind of dissect and talk about. Miguel Rojas, April, I'm coming to you because I know the story based off of what transpired in Game 6 and Game 7. Doc Roberts mentions almost like correct me if I've got the story wrong, but Doc Roberts has mentioned kind of he just had a feeling. It was like I kind of just have a hunch that Rojas is going to be like a difference maker, if you will. Like he's the guy that I kind of want to see at second base. And not only is he obviously gets the biggest hit of his life by the way, the biggest hit of his life on a full count pitch
Yes.
that on 2-2, I thought he could have struck out looking. I thought that was a really good. It was like a kind of like a slightly high breaking pitch.
Because if you look at the pitch, right,
It looked like an amazing pitch. But you definitely don't want to walk him because it's full count with Shohei on deck, and you don't want to put Rojas on and then have to pitch to Shohei for a chance to win the game, not let alone tie it. Poor. What's it? Hoffman, right?
Yes.
Poor Hoffman in the sense that he throws a slider. It's not a horrible pitch. Everything has to go right for Rojas, and he does. And he puts the ball out of the yard. But not only that, because, again, the very, that defensive play where Rojas gets it infield in, gets it at second base, looks like he has a little bit of trouble, right? Getting it out of his glove.
Yes.
Gets it home, and that's the IKF, right? Let foot up, foot down for Will Smith. You missed the World Series by this much. That was the Rojas play, right? So, talk to me, April, about Miguel Rojas, Doc Roberts' call, and his Game 7 impact alone. It was absolutely unreal.
Yeah, Miguel Rojas is actually considered one of the leaders in the clubhouse, and even in games, Mookie relies on him to just kind of figure things out. Mookie was talking about how, look, I've never been in this position before. How do I navigate shortstop at this particular time? So it's also good to see a player who does have veteran experience still be able to say, look, this isn't my moment, but I'm going to do what's best for the team. After Game 5, I don't know if y'all saw the pictures, Miguel Rojas was the last player in the dugout. So he's literally just like standing there. And they said that Doc went up to him and was like, you're playing Game 6. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll be ready. Now, we all know he hadn't played prior to that. So him going into the game was Um, him going into the game was a big deal, but I don't think I ever wavered from that decision, because we also have to remember Paez was not batting over 100 during the World Series. So when he goes up to bat, it's literally an automatic out.
Yeah.
So
He was awful. He was awful at the plate.
He was awful at the plate. So Dave Roberts had to make some kind of decision because we couldn't get the bats going. So
Justin Dean could hit.
we had to adjust that at that particular time, which they did. And I was happy that he was able to have his particular moment, both offensively and defensively,
did.
because he also made that play at the end of game 6 from Kike.
Yep.
So when we talk about veteran leadership, are players who just are ready when their numbers are called. That was something I actually talked to my students about today. I talked to them about how sometimes, your moment may come at a time when you don't know if you're ready, but you always have to be prepared when your number is called. And I think that this was just a great moment to see exactly what it means to play on a team and to also be a part of the group project and actually contribute to the group project and get the A at the end of the group project. So I was happy for Miguel Rojas to have his moment as well.
If it wasn't Yamamoto, and if it wasn't, I mean, maybe you go to Shohei after that, but if it's not Yamamoto and maybe not Shohei, I think, Malik, you're looking at possibly a Will Smith MVP.
Oh, yes.
So we talked a little bit about just having the endurance, right? The absolute endurance to catch 18 innings and then continue to play the next 2 nights and traveling and going up and down and going up and down. Will Smith has had some huge postseason home runs, in 2025, obviously none bigger than the go-ahead home run in the 11th inning. Dodgers again have the biggest stars in the world, but you'd mention these guys, the Edmonds, the Hernandezes, and where does Will Smith fit into this Dodger, the kind of the hierarchy of really important Dodger players, Malik?
I guess it's kind of relative, because if you talk about just catchers, there's no doubt that Will Smith is a top 5 catcher in baseball. If you're talking about defense and offense, we don't get catchers that do both an elite level. But as far as in the pantheon of stars that the Dodgers have and how important they are to the team, let's just face it, he sees every pitch. He has to kind of be there on every single play. We saw this year with Cal Raleigh kind of showing us how important a catcher can be, and he had to hit 60 home runs for us to even pay attention to the position.
Right.
And I think
the best career in catcher history for us.
Literally, catchers are important. Yeah,
right.
You do a little bit. It is hard to be back there with those
catches the game.
Exactly, and with the injury that he had to deal with during that series, we didn't really expect him to contribute a lot to the Dodgers. So I would say that he's pretty underrated still, because of course we're still going to talk about Shohei. We're still going to talk about Yamamoto. We're even going to talk about Mookie a little bit more than Will Smith, even though Will Smith probably contributed just as much at the plate. We're going to talk about Freddie more than Will Smith. We're even going to talk about Kike more than Will Smith, I would argue. But
for the record, a lot of those guys, especially when you talk about Mookie and even Freddie and some of they weren't hitting.
Right.
They weren't hitting. They had moments, but they weren't hitting.
Exactly. And so I think that right now it actually sets Will Smith up with the contract, and also him kind of being that team's one of their kind of their co-captains, I would say, just with the role and carrying a staff of pitchers for that long, that many were injured, many from the minor leagues, many that are still learning the ropes. I think he has to be given his flowers, and them winning the World Series helps us to kind of remember him more, because if they did not win the World Series, Will Smith would just be relegated to another player on that team.
And he had some big hit. Not only to win the World Series, but he had obviously
The big home
a
run, his biggest of
massive,
his life.
but he had some other home runs in the postseason as well.
He
April
sure
years.
did.
Number one, I also wanted to bring up the fact that Will Klein gave him a shout out because he was talking about Will calling a great game. Because we talk about him catching, but him calling a great game. Number two, I don't know if you remember this, Cheats, but I remember us talking after he signed that contract. And it was like 10 years for whatever. And we were like, is this kind of cheap? Maybe he should be getting paid a little bit more than what he's getting paid. And I think we're seeing now, obviously, his value, but the Dodgers went on ahead and locked him up.
Yep.
And the third thing is, Will is a homegrown talent. I know we talk a lot about us going out and getting players, but Will is actually a homegrown talent for the Dodgers. So
isn't another homegrown talent Andy Paez?
yeah, absolutely.
And so
And y'all know I'm hard on Paez.
And we should be. No, he was not you know, we talked about it. It was talked about extensively, his struggles at the plate this entire postseason and beyond a little bit. But let's talk about the play that everybody is going to be talking about that could have had a lot of potential to could have cost the Dodgers the World Series, to be honest with you. This is Paez coming in the game. I believe this is in the 9th inning, right, Flobo?
Mm-hmm.
Doc Roberts puts Paez in the game for defensive purposes in center field. Shot to the gap. Just Paez, it's Hernandez and Paez. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know what Hernandez was doing because even if he had a play at that ball, it's a Willie Mays over the shoulder type attempt. Paez,
the old janitor throw,
just drills him, and he's good. Like, thank the Lord he was taller or jumped higher or whatever it was, because they saved what could have been a disastrous end to a World Series on a play that's like, again, a game that had everything. That play turned out well, but geez, it looks scary.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the numbers are, but it did seem like the Dodgers weren't as clean in the field this year as they were last year. And a lot of it comes down for trust, right? I mean, yeah, it comes up for trust. I mean, Paez has been struggling offensively, which caused him to press defensively. A lot of times, even I was questioning his alignment out there in this NFL, so it could have been a lot worse. But I don't know, man. I feel like there are interesting moments like this. Had the Dodgers lost the World Series, that'd be something to talk about. But I will be forgotten about come Monday just because of the way it ended. And that's something you should look at. If you're the GM, you got to look at that and go, okay, this is where we overhaul this to come back next year, because something like that couldn't happen. You know, if that happened to Aaron Judge, that would have been for months.
No, absolutely. It'd have been the whole off season, honestly.
He does it all the time. And it's one of the reasons why he frustrates me, because I'm like, what are we doing? But that wasn't the only play that almost cost us. There was a play where he took off from second base to go to third, and he had to hurry up and get back. And he got back like literally just in time. And I remember being like, there he goes again. Like sometimes he tends to lack focus, but I think it's more of him being so passionate, trying to make a play to get us the run, that it can impact and affect the game.
I think Flobo hit the head on the nail there when nail on the head when he was like, he's pressing. He was pressing with everything. If he's going to get an opportunity, he's going to press. And I just think that Paez was pressing, and I think it was happening on both sides. Guys like you look at some of Dalton Varsho's at bats in center field for the Blue Jays. Look at some of the things that Addison Barger, you know what I mean? Especially after he was the one that was caught up in the double play. And, I know he took that very seriously as well. There was a lot of folks out there that, the pressures of World Series baseball gets to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been going for a while. And this is a lot of fun. I mean, we could do even more on what I think, like I said, what is the greatest World Series in my lifetime for sure. I got a couple questions to finish up on this, but before we do have to thank our partners. Shout out to the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Minority Prospects, we are officially in the off season, and there is a lot going on and a lot to talk about. Um, I want to do two things. Flobo, you help me out. You tell me, do we want to talk about Mookie first or the managers first? Because there's two kind of sort of quick hits that we'll hit, and then we'll move on to a
I got a
couple
feeling
other
the
things.
managers will be quicker, so let's do that first, and then do the Mookie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, because I do think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of amazing kind of moves made by the managers, a lot of baseball execution attempts. Some of the execution didn't work out the way it was supposed to, but the right idea, like, what arms are going to be coming in, who's going to be moving runners over. I always marvel at Doc Roberts and kind of whatever magic sauce that he has, even when we just talked about the Rojas stuff. But putting Tommy Edmonds in center field to kind of relieve Paez, and just the moves that he made that ultimately seems to more than not work out, right? The way that he manages the bullpen, really mastery stuff. I was equally as impressed with the Blue Jays manager, who I was not familiar with before the postseason. That guy seems like the players are going to run through a wall for John Schneider. Like, the Blue Jays players are going to run through a wall for that guy. And he seems like the guy that is, really, really has, like, just, and why wouldn't you? Again, this was the best team in the American League, right? Like,
Absolutely.
we were acting like this is the little engine that could. It was not. They were the best team in the AL like all year. But Schneider was an amazing leader. I probably should have looked at him even more. I think I did say that he was going to be AL Manager of the Year, but I think I should have looked at him even more closely, because he really, I think, showed his mettle through this postseason. Guys, when y'all look at the two managerial matchups, is there an edge? Is there an edge on either side? Like, I mean, I know Doc had that kind of, clairvoyant, like, Miguel Rojas call, which might push him over the top. But, the idea of starting, you Savage game one, these are all Schneider decisions as well. And, I think he started, who's the guy, the Snell game. Was it, is it Davis Schneider that hit the leadoff home run on the first pitch?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like both of these managers were making really, really good moves, right? The idea that you just let Jimenez rock out and you put Bo Bichette at second base, who hadn't played second base since college, right?
Right.
Is there, when y'all kind of look back at this thing, was there an advantage managerial wise on either side?
An advantage? No, there's a bunch of disadvantages. And I would just say, like, it was the Dodgers' injury history last year and the bullpen this year, right? Because it not only was a weakness, but it really wasn't a well-known secret, a well-guarded secret on the LA side. With Toronto, yeah, they had the players, but they had to do some management with injuries and people being banged up, and that super long series with Seattle, or say that those also extra innings things with Seattle. But when it came down to the actual changes, people would argue from the surface that a lot of things were done that were extra. But now we know why they did what they did, because of how much baseball they played. I know we had Santos last week. He was like, Doc Roberts is a good manager. I have to disagree. I mean, he got the dub, he got the ring.
That's right.
We
will be bringing Santos on later this week.
Please.
Yeah, that's right. He did say he did have to throw out his he threw a little shade on Doc that podcast. But as far as advantages are concerned, it's obvious that Doc has more of these moments under his belt that he's had to experience over the last decade. But I will say shout out to John Schneider for actually being an org coach, a guy who actually coached these players in AA. Some of these players are familiar with them, and we don't really see that often as we should. Right. I mean, like, doesn't it make sense to kind of call up some of your developmental guys that have been with your players in the minor leagues, who kind of know them? Not the Giants, and maybe not a lot of organizations, but you would think that they would like dive into their own system and say, like, hey, maybe we should call up and say, we always think about calling up prospects, calling up, big time prospects. What about calling up a manager that's been doing it with these same prospects and in actually growing with them and actually having the trust in these players no matter what. And I think that's something that Schneider showed that not to compare to Doc, but like Schneider has a lot of trust in some of his players. Like you said with the Savage move, putting a rookie up there in this moment and trusting that he wouldn't fold is a manager that kind of operates on a lot of faith in his players. And I think we have to give him a shout out for that.
Even the Scherzer move. I mean,
Yeah.
remember with him like going out and Scherzer being like, one, I ain't leaving. And then number two, trusting him to start these games in those high pressure moments. So definitely give him a shout out for that. I also want to give him a shout out because we know Bo Bichette hadn't been in a routine of playing. So trusting him to go out there and play his game the way we know Bo Bichette to be able to give what he had. That was also, I was very impressed by that he trusted his player to do that.
No, I agree with all of that. I agree with all that. I mean, I was impressed, like you said, from top to bottom about how these guys led their respective teams. And like, not only did the managers obviously had full confidence and belief in their players, but the players had confidence in their manager, right?
Yes.
And there was no one, I mean, absolutely no one that believed the Blue Jays are going to win the World Series more than John Schneider. I mean, he believed like he was. If you heard him post game was awesome this time around. And if you heard him talk post game, he was like, "Nah, we're going to do this thing." And it was, again, 162 games, man.
Mm-hmm.
Playoffs, getting to a game 7, getting to where you got after a season like this next year is going to be really, really interesting to see how Schneider and the Blue Jays respond. But I gained a lot of respect for that guy, especially over this postseason, over this entire season, postseason. With that said, I really believe that Doc Roberts is, if not already, going to be a Hall of Fame manager. Like I think he's going in the Hall.
Yeah, I agree.
For his managerial prowess now, and I guess this was a good question. I'll kind of ask you guys. We can kind of do it as an exercise together. One of my good buddies, who's a Dodgers fan, asked me, and I don't know the answer to it. I think I wrote it out. As it's currently constructed right now, and if the players retire tomorrow, and you can throw Doc Roberts in here as well, how many Hall of Famers do the Dodgers have? This is part A of the question. And then part B of the question is, when their careers are all said and done, how many Hall of Famers do the Dodgers have?
Jesus.
So part A would be, if they retire right now, how many Hall of Famers do the Dodgers have? If their careers play out and end, how many Hall of Famers do you think the Dodgers have? The 2025 Dodgers. And, of course, you can include Doc, like I said, the manager.
I got 6 off the top of my head. That'd be the 3 MVPs.
Yep.
3 MVPs, Doc Roberts, Kershaw, and Snell. 2-time Cy Young winner.
Yep. Okay.
I mean,
you can add potential to that too, Flobo, if you want it.
I gotta think along that.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just didn't want dead air, I was like,
No, it's okay. It's okay. Anybody else got any immediate guesses? So, if I got this right, you've got Betts, Freeman,
Ohtani,
of course. You said Snell and Roberts right now?
Snell, Roberts, and Kershaw. That'd be.
Oh, yeah, Kershaw. Yeah.
6.
That's 6.
I'm going to add Yama to the list.
Are we disputing any of these folks? Do we all think that these guys are all surefire Hall of Famers?
Absolutely.
That's Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Snell, Roberts, Kershaw.
Yeah.
All right.
You can add Will Smith to that list if he's able to keep up a pace.
No, that was the next thing, was when their careers end, who do you think's a Hall of Famer? So you think when the careers end, you think Smith's going to be a Hall of Famer?
Will and Yama.
I think he can reach the WAR threshold that Buster Posey has at like 40 something, which he's halfway there on the F WAR category. I think he could actually touch it with the rings too. So.
Okay, so Will Smith, April, you just said Yamamoto.
Yeah, when his career ends, I'm adding
When
him
his
on.
career ends, you think
Ooh,
Yamamoto's in the Baseball Hall of
that's
Fame?
bold.
I do. I
You
know. I
say that's
know.
bold? You think that's bold?
I think that's bold given that he started in the league at, I guess, 25. So he's going to have to put in some pretty heavy, like, Cy Young category years for the next, like, duration of his contract. He's going to have to not have no bad years, almost like no injury.
Because you got to think
Yeah.
and I say that because you do have to think the Baseball Hall of Fame is not like the Basketball Hall of Fame,
Oh, I
right?
get it.
The Basketball Hall of Fame, you could be a great high school player,
Right.
college player. It
I
counts
get it.
everything. The Baseball Hall of Fame really just counts your Major League Baseball career. Is that right?
Hmm.
It
Because there's
does.
other international baseball Hall of Fames. Like I think Martin Tehingo's in like 8 Hall of
Hmm.
Fames.
Hey,
Um,
I called it this. I thought that he would be one this year, and he's a finalist. So
yeah,
I mean, if he's not, I'm okay with him not being one. But I feel like he is on a streak and on a path to being there.
yeah,
Those
no,
are
I think it's a good. I think it's a.
major,
I would put him on
major
my
points.
list.
Yeah.
So anyone else? So we've got Will Smith, Yamamoto. Does anyone feel like Sasaki, when it's all said and done, could be a Hall of Famer?
I want to see what he does next year before I go there.
Okay.
I'd like to see his body adjust. I don't know if he's going to be able to, and not to just judge like body types, but that type of pitching, he's going to probably have to add some meat on his bones. I'm not trying
Mhm.
to throw shade at the guys like Blake, well, not Blake Snell, but the Chris Sales of the world.
Sure.
But it looks like the types of pitches that leave his body are going to have to match the type of body he's putting on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's throwing 101.
But I'm worried because that's what
This is
Syndergaard did. Syndergaard tried to go to the weight room and it broke him. You know what I'm
Ah,
saying?
yeah, he was always scored. He tried to get bigger. He tried to get
Yeah.
bigger. Didn't work.
All right. All right. I think that's it. Right? Do we have anybody else that we're missing?
No.
I mean, but really, just quickly, think about that.
Miguel Rojas, huh?
Then think about that. I mean, on one team, you still got like legitimately potential of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 legitimate kind of Hall of Fame players and a Hall of Fame manager. I mean, that's creeping into some pretty rarefied 1 through 9 area. You know what I mean? Like that's an amazing like feat, and we'll see. I did not have Will Smith on my list.
Let me add one. Do
Yeah,
y'all think Mark Pryor ever gets a I mean, he's a pitching coach. Do you think he will ever go to being a head coach or a head manager somewhere?
I mean possibly. Well, I wouldn't know why
think,
not,
yeah,
but
we've seen it
I
happen.
wouldn't put him on this list, but
Was
possibly.
what was that that guy that went from the Guardians and became the Mets manager? Was that a pitching coach?
Mickey Callaway. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that. Oh my lord.
I had to bring my boy up.
I'm probably gonna get killed for this one, but I am high on Roki. At 23 years old, and the ability that he's shown in regards to stuff, just like actual stuff. Now and again, we know that stuff alone isn't going to get you on the Hall of Fame. He's going to have to really learn a lot of things. But I'm if Yamamoto is kind of limited by age, I think Roki's not. Like if he's 23 now and he'll 23, 24, he has the potential to have a really, really good, long, productive career. So we'll see. One of the people on this list I really want to talk about before we get completely out of here on this show is Mookie Betts, because this whole season, I mean, whenever his career is long said and done, and hopefully he's well past his entry Hall of Fame speech, and he's just like the luminary of the many luminaries that come back and do what do they do Dodger Town and all the things that they do at Vero Beach and all these places. When he tells the story, I think of his like 2025 World Series year, I think it's going to be the toughest year toughest season for sure that Mookie Betts has had, like maybe ever. Because again, this season starts with this guy getting a mystery virus and losing 15 pounds before the Tokyo series, and kind of struggles through a lot of this. Struggles through a lot of the season. He's playing shortstop now. It's just one of those. I think I heard somebody talking about Mookie Betts' like defensive career alone, and it was like right field, center field, second base, shortstop, and the fact that he in 2025 gets a Gold Glove nomination at shortstop to be one of the finalists, one of the final three, right? Shout out to Mason Wynn who won the award. But the fact that this guy is going through all of this and playing a very strong like short defensive shortstop while he knows he is not delivering the way that Mookie Betts normally delivers at the plate, especially, and to a tune where you're gonna get Shohei Ohtani's gonna get his share of walks, right? Shohei Ohtani's gonna get his share of intentional walks, but it almost felt in some ways that it was getting it was like almost getting borderline disrespectful, right? Because you're just like, oh, Mookie Betts is coming up. Let's just make sure we put Shohei on and pitch to this. Now, he did come, to his credit, he came through and had some moments in the World Series. Obviously, the big, some big breakthrough single, I want to say later in the game, after they moved him down from second to third, I think is when he got his first kind of real big RBI in that series. But, yeah, it was not all kind of World Series. Let's look back to back. I'm going to have like the greatest memories of 2025 if you're Mookie Betts, right?
And his stepdad passed away too this year. So it was just a tough year. And also remember, he's coming back from that hand injury after his hand was broken last year. So it was just like, just really trying to repair himself and coming out. I was listening to an interview of him talking about how his wife was very supportive and encouraging of him. And this was one of the things, I don't know if y'all remember him doing the home run derby a couple years ago, but she is the reason why he actually did the home run derby. And she said she wanted him to do it because when his career ended, she wanted him to look back and be like, these are all the things that he's done to add to his greatness. And I think it's important for us to recognize the fact that these men, they do have partners, wives who are supporting and uplifting them in these moments. Because listening to him talk on that Fox broadcast and the way that he did, and I'm like, bro, you Mookie Betts, like you really him. But in his mind, it felt like he wasn't contributing the way that he normally would want to his team. So it never made me doubt him. I just felt like it was just a moment that he would ultimately break out of. And that's because I watch him all the time, not just because he's one of my favorite players. I just felt like it's just a moment, but Mookie will be Mookie Betts ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, Malik, do you think like two things that happened, especially this postseason, do you think Mookie's going to be able to enjoy this like Clemente Award in this World Championship ring, given like kind of what he's been going through especially this postseason, but in this whole season?
I mean, he's going to be hard on himself, but I think he's approaching a part of his career where he's satisfied with who he is and knows who he is as a player. He decided to move to shortstop, which is he's showing himself to be a better shortstop than the guy that like Derek Jeter. He's better at that position defensively.
Why? How Derek Jeter catch strays in this? Like what Derek Jeter do to you?
I'll allow it.
I mean, like we talked about their interaction in the World Series. I mean, like we talked about how he kind of like pulled him and had to, and then I'm saying like all this in respect to Derek Jeter, but just like just the way that he moves at shortstop, just watching him play. I personally didn't think he was going to be able to make that transition, at least long term. especially given the beginning of the season injury illness. I was saying like take it easy, but maybe it is easier for him to play shortstop. Maybe it doesn't take as much on him, and maybe just maybe him taking this somewhat maybe of a offensive decline like players do after a certain age may not be a big decline if he's able to kind of supplement that with his play at shortstop. So he's going to be able to provide, some value to his team in intangible ways that, he probably wouldn't have if you were kind of out there in right field, running around every day. So it's almost like the WAR numbers, the WAR totals are going to even out with him just picking it at shortstop the way he has been. So shout out to him just being putting it out there on defense, even though he wasn't, hitting his best throughout the season or throughout the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I really am impressed with the way that he played shortstop, and obviously, you learn more and more about different kind of stats, and I knew Mookie Betts was a Gold Glove outfielder. I didn't know he'd won 6.
Yeah, yeah.
He'd won 6 Gold
He was
Gloves.
a god in
And
outfield.
And then moves to short.
And then moves and gets a nomination at shorts. He gets a nomination at shortstop, and I just that alone, like, is just like a wow moment defensively. And you kind of watch him all year, and there are certain parts of the struggle, but the only thing that was really like the part where I kind of really felt for him was, as April mentioned, during those post game interviews, because it wasn't just the moment post game with the Fox guys and Jeter.
Right.
It was like, I think it was like after one of the games in his locker, he was like, "I was terrible," and you're like,
Right.
"What?" Yeah, like, so it was kind of this running theme that Mookie had going, and like I said, just in spite of winning the Clemente Award and obviously ultimately getting that World Series, that second back-to-back World Series, and now he's got 4. He's got more World Series championships than any active player in Major League Baseball.
Amen.
With the 4, so 1 with the Red Sox, 3 with the Dodgers, and I just hope, and I like none of us know Mookie Betts, but I hope you'll be able to enjoy kind of this one as well, and look back on it and say this is something that he really kind of had to grit through, right? Like, because again, there was going back to last year, he was very clear that he felt his team picked him up last World Series. So if this team picked him up last World Series, his team really picked him up this World Series. And so, we'll see how this all plays out. But shout out to Mookie Betts, man, because in that sense, he to be able to have 4 World Series championships and to have this one at shortstop.
He's tied for the second oldest shortstop immediately, tied with Xander Bogaerts, younger than Nick Ahmed. He's out there doing it.
There's some things I think that were really impressive. Let's move on really quick before we get out of here and just talk about what does this set up for the Dodgers and the Blue Jays in particular. Like, what does this set up for next year? I mean, again, back-to-back seems very rare. The idea that this core is going to still be together and possibly still be healthy, and they're going to play a complete 26 season, even if they turn the lights off on December 31st, 26. This next year's gets played, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all like? I mean, obviously, there's going to be talk about three-peat now for the Dodgers all throughout the season. Everybody's going to be, for the most part, back intact. The Blue Jays have to deal with a Bo Bichette issue immediately, right? He's the guy that's entering free agency on that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, they're going to have a lot of their guys back. And they've got this massive megastar now in Vlad Guerrero Jr., who now everybody's going to be paying attention to even more than he was when he was obviously just a superstar, right? Who's it going to be harder for, Flobo? Is it going to be harder for the Blue Jays or the Dodgers next year?
I don't know what you mean by hard, but I saw that Blue Jays squad walk off the field, and I go, they're not coming back. I'm not even trying to say like I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not saying they're suck, but like the baseball's very very cruel when you get like one small window to make something happen, like the 23 Guardians, right? Where it's like, oh man, they're ahead of schedule, they're gonna come back. I mean, I don't see that kind of like intangible magic happen again because it wasn't there on paper.
Mhm.
Dodgers have a separate issue, and we were talking about Roki Sasaki a minute ago. Not to use him as an example, but guys like that who are cheap, young, and valuable to bolster a bullpen can be sent to other markets, right? To make sure that team has a chance of winning. They're way above that, making those hard decisions. So, like, the Dodgers have their own issues, embarrassment of riches. They have to move some parts, but I don't think the Blue Jays, as they're constructed, or even if they improve on paper, will get back here. It would take some of the magic that we didn't see happening a second time. That's hard to replicate. I'm saying that from a 2024 Grimace Mets perspective. Magic is hard to bottle.
I mean, I'm an Orioles fan. I understand what you're saying. We're in last place this year.
Well,
I had us going to the World Series.
I can't say that they won't come back, though. I can't say that. Just given like what we saw from the Royals maybe a decade ago, that offensive profile that they put together where they weren't striking out, they were putting on a lot of contact on the ball. Not saying that these are the same two teams, like especially payroll wise, but if you're talking about like what it takes to make it to a World Series, it seems like the game is trending to a point where we need more true offense to get there. You know, you can't just hit all the home runs in the world.
Right.
You can't just, just overpower teams in that way. It looks like you're going to have to be able to spread it out a little bit. So I in particular think that the Blue Jays have the potential to get back to the World Series and probably within the next 2 to 5 years if they continue that same offensive trend. And even add to that, maybe they bring back Bichette. Maybe they add players like maybe a Bregman to replace Bichette, a similar type of, high contact, patient type of player. So I can't say they can't come back because like we've seen it before with the Royals. I didn't think they were going to come back and they ended up being a better team the very next year. Very rare,
Yep.
But I think I have some hope in the Blue Jays just given that they have newfound confidence in a model that actually works if it's able to be duplicated.
April, how hard is it going to be for the Dodgers?
I think it's going to be difficult, but I just kind of have faith that we're gonna do the OU. And
Yeah.
y'all, for those of you who don't know this, I'm talking about the OU softball team. They went back to back to back to back 4 times in a row. So I'm confident that we can go back, put something together with Dave Roberts leading us. I have all the faith in the world in them. And I also think that the guys have had a taste of what winning is like. And when I say the guys, that's the veterans and it's also the young guys. When you have that kind of feeling, it just makes you desire it more. So, and I think this is the case for both the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. They both have owners who are willing to invest to where we will go out and get people. And I think a lot of people forget that about the Blue Jays too. Like they were out in the mix for a lot of players. It just didn't cross the line. So who
Santander gets hurt. He's not playing. Santander is
and Santander too.
Was a big off-season acquisition, right?
Right. So with them going out and being aggressive and going after players who we've already seen the list of players who have, opted out. Who are the Blue Jays going to aggressively pursue to add to what they are trying to do to continue? And then I'm going to just throw out a little wild piece out there. Is it going to be another AL East team again? Because, last year was the Yankees. This year was the Blue Jays. Are we going to get your Orioles or maybe the Reds? I'm just saying, or maybe the Red Sox. It could go.
No, a lot of cheese like that. Come on.
No, I think April has a point. I think one of the bigger points April's saying is that I think the Blue Jays' biggest challenge is going to be competition. Mm-hmm. I think the Dodgers' biggest challenge is going to be fatigue. And what I mean by that is like over the last 2 years, they just played a lot of baseball. Like that core veteran group has played a lot of baseball. And I think you see it wear on players. Mm-hmm. And again, they're
And
gonna
the
be
age too.
they're gonna be everybody's World Series when they come into town.
Yeah.
And they were this year. Like this year, they got a lot of people's best shots because they're the Dodgers. They're coming in town. We were talking about that. Was it I can't remember. Was it a Marlin series or something like that? When we were just like we were talking about the attendance numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yes. Yes.
they're gonna get
Marlins
everybody's
Yankees.
best shot. And they've just played. I do think when you start to get into like the third season of getting to the World Series and playing that much baseball. And again, this year for the Dodgers, the bodies broke down quite a bit, right? There was a lot of like they just got healthy ish at the right time, right? They got healthy enough to be able to get that rotation in order. So I mean, I think the challenges will be different. I do think though that given the makeup of this Blue Jay team and the manager that they have, and the fact that outside of last season where they were in last place, right, due to injuries,
Mm-hmm.
they were in the playoffs back to back before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that they have the potential to get right back there and be really competitive. But are the Mariners going to stay together? Like they're really good. Is
Naylor.
Houston is Houston going to get back in the mix? They're usually always there. Um, what is Detroit and Cleveland and some of these teams in the American League that we talk about as having those potential? Obviously, you said the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays. I mean, there's teams that have the ability to put some things together. So I can't wait. I'm really really excited about what 26 is going to look like. We've got a whole off season and then a whole year in 26 to talk about if they're actually going to play baseball beyond that, because I'm learning so much about the CBA and who's negotiating what and what all this is going to mean. And but I'm hoping, because I do believe baseball has a lot of momentum coming off of this World Series, more so than even when obviously the Yankees and the Dodgers played a year ago. It just seems like more people are paying attention. It seems like younger people are paying attention. It seems like more of a diverse fan base paid attention to this World Series. My 11-year-old son, now and again, he's 11, but he was locked into a lot of these games until his bedtime. Nothing we can do about that. Major League Baseball starting games at 8 o'clock on the East Coast, but I talked to dads at the Little League field over the weekend that said, no, my son was locked in too. We had to get home from trick or treating by like 8 o'clock so we could be locked into the games. And I've never, I haven't had a lot of those conversations, especially with kids or young black kids. I haven't had a lot of those conversations about them talking about, oh, did you see that play?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really exciting.
Here's the question though:
Yeah.
does the World Baseball Classic impact the Dodgers more because of Freddie Freeman and Sasaki and
Yeah, if they
Amaro?
play more innings, I think the fatigue's gonna really. I think it's a real thing. And again, baseball's not basketball. It's not football in the sense of like physical damage to your body on an everyday
Mental
basis.
fatigue,
But
too.
tell that to George Springer, man. He pulled out his back, swinging a bat. So yeah. I mean, I think now and again, and we'll have a lot of time to talk about this in the future as well. I think what the WBC is going to do in 2026 is going to be even better
Yes.
for the game than what the
I agree.
WBC did. What was it, 2 years ago or whatever it
Yes.
was?
2023.
Yeah. So I can't wait. And I
Same.
think it's going to be really, really exciting, like an exciting tournament that gets people, that comes off the momentum of this World Series and gets people talking
Yep.
and gets people excited and keeps people paying attention. And so I love we all love everything about the WBC and we think it's going to be fantastic. Um, but I also just think like when we talk about growing the game and having
Mm-hmm.
people kind of excited and possibly converting more
Mm-hmm.
casual fans and things of that nature to baseball. Um, I think this World Series and WBC combo is going to be a huge,
I agree.
huge opportunity.
I agree. And y'all, we are officially 122 days away from the WBC. So make sure you're following me because I will be doing a countdown on both
Sure.
the opening day and the WBC.
I mean, obviously, if we get our way, the quite a few of us will be at the WBC games in different places if we can figure out how to cover, continue to cover baseball the way that we do. And I know our family's looking at, the U.S. and Puerto Rican locations. I'll be interested to see how the it'll be interesting to see how the fandom actually works out. I feel like there's a little bit of me that feels like we missed by not going in 23, or I did not go in 23. I feel like that was like the one where I think everybody was like, something's happening here, but everything was still kind of innocent, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like 26 is not going to be innocent at all. Like, I think the secret's out of the bag. It's no longer the underground album, Malik. Like, 26 is going to be, what is it? It's like, you go from like mixtape stardom to your like, uh, major label album debut. And this is it. This is like Nipsey Hussle's,
Victory lap, yeah.
victory lap. This, because that's what 26 is going to feel like. Like, I feel like 23 felt a little bit still like we were still in the underground, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
also
be
think that the host cities matter too. So in 23, it was Phoenix and Miami. This year, within the United States, we have Puerto Rico, we have Houston and Miami.
Houston, Miami, yeah.
So
Houston,
those,
they moved Phoenix to Houston, yeah.
yeah. So that's going to be a big deal because people want to be in the mix of what is happening. And then right after WBC, you also have World Cup. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
All right. Last let's get out of here. We got a lot to talk about as we move forward. Gold Gloves were announced as well. We'll talk about that on our next podcast. Couple new managers were named. One of the youngest manager in the history of Major League Baseball, 33 years old for the
From
Nats.
New Orleans, Louisiana, yes.
So there's they announced today the Braves got their guy in Walt Weiss. So there's just a lot to talk about. We will get to all of it. Before we get out of here, Flobo, tell me how Fox is going to change their their what's it called, their pregame postgame. So next year, we forgot to ask too, does Mookie Betts play shortstop next year? We'll do that later. But next year, is it still Big Papi, A-Rod, and Derek Jeter, or do they make some type of moves?
Look, I don't know what they're gonna do, but Big Pop is a treasure. Keep him. A-Rod is so all self-centered. That's funny. But Derek Jeter has to realize it's a show. Like, why is the man so defensive?
This is the second Derek Jeter stray he's caught from Flobo. You gotta relax.
You get him every single week. That guy is such a drag, man. Like, oh, you won the game. What's going through your mind? Like,
Malik, April, did y'all watch pregame, postgame? Did y'all like? What was it? My dog T-shirts from Papi, and
I love it. And I saw
A-Rod
Addison Barger give that shirt back too. He was like, "I don't want this shirt. It has the Red Sox on it." Absolutely not.
Yeah. So look, if inside the NBA is the holy grail, right? Which I think it is. Inside the NBA with Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Chuck, Shaq, like that's the holy grail of pregame, postgame, right?
Okay.
I think that this is obviously baseball's version of inside. But this is what I've been giving this a lot of thought. I have, as you can tell. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I do think we need to make changes. But I think NBC's basketball show, shout out to them, they got the NBA back and brought back a lot of nostalgia. They figured it out. What I would do is I would give Jeter the Michael Jordan treatment, right? So if you guys have been following, Michael Jordan and Mike Tirico just basically did like a lengthy one-on-one interview about like essence of the game. And they cut to that in the NBC like pregame about like, oh, now we get insight from Michael Jordan. And it's just like him talking to Mike Tirico. I think that's what we do with Jeter. We like cut to like Jeter one-on-one talking about like elements of the game because he's really good at that. I think we move in like Dontrell Willis. D Train has gotten some shine over there. Either him, Curtis Granderson, David Justice. There's a lot of really good guys that can talk. I mean, talk
Swisher.
that talk when it comes to baseball.
Your boy
D-Train
Swisher.
was excellent in
Yeah,
the prior shows. So
yeah,
him
he's
not
fantastic.
making it to the World Series, I was quite shocked because I personally love listening and watching him prior to
Yeah,
that.
he's fantastic. He's fantastic. Like Gary Sheffield. I don't know if anybody's heard. I don't even know. Like you
Oh,
might have to
stop.
censor.
Right.
That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious.
Man, you might
Yeah.
have to censor. You might have to censor
That's what
Sheffield.
I'm saying.
But there are some
Mhm.
really guys that if you listen to them talk baseball, it's hilarious. It's like really Marvin Freeman. There's like compelling stuff. So yeah, I'm putting Jeter in like a one-on-one category. Keep him on the show because he's fantastic. I like him way more than Flobo does.
That's
Um,
facts. Facts.
I don't know what we do with A-Rod. A-Rod to me is the one guy that like Poppy
You,
stays.
you need A Rod because he's like the straight man stick in the mud. You gotta add characters around A Rod for him to be like, well,
Like
let's talk about me.
I think, I think Poppy's like definitely a big character. I think, but
because
I will
Poppy
work.
doesn't have a Shaquille O'Neal. He's Chuck, but no Shaquille. He
I
needs
will
another
work.
clown.
Right, I will work on this,
Respectfully.
but I feel like A Rod might be moved in my line. Uh, April. What can we expect in the off season from 10th inning talk?
Well, y'all know that the WPBL is on its way and the draft is happening November 20th. And for those of you who don't know what that stands for, it's the Women's Professional Baseball League. They are coming up. So I'll be doing some showdown on that. Of course, y'all know AUSL is always on my radar and some college because I'm always in the mood for a college as well. And then I'm going to be keeping you up to date on what's happening in this off season because I don't know if y'all remember, but last season, first base, all these moves that were happening, pretty exciting. So where are these players going? We don't know. But if you tune into the 10th inning, you will be right up to par with everything that's happening.
Sounds good. Butterman baseball. I know we got some things cooking, you and I, and we got some articles that'll be dropping real soon. What do you got going on?
Same old. We're gonna be writing some more, so y'all stay tuned for some insight.
I'm really excited about that.
Let's go.
I've read some fantastic stuff already.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And Flobo boys in the booth this off season. What do we expect?
In the booth, we gotta make sure we have a special episode just coronating or initiating Baseball United that their season's gonna start next week or next week and a half from now in November. And then of course we're gonna have our guests all throughout the off season just to make sure we keep the lights on over there in the booth, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot going on. Black Baseball Mixtape we'll still try to keep as the all season goes, we'll try to keep at least 2 shows a week. A lot of special guests. Now that we are in the all season, a lot of players have a little bit more free time to get in and drop a line and visit with us as well. I personally am excited to. I know of at least right now 2 MLB player baseball camps that we'll be doing some cover. I'll be doing some coverage at one as soon as a few days. So we will be visiting some camps and interviewing some pros and having them work with see them in the off season. So see a little bit of what life's like in the off season. So make sure, ladies and gentlemen, you keep it locked to the Black Baseball Mixtape. This season has been absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank you guys for rocking with us in what is an epic year, and it will continue on. I want to thank our sponsors, the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harbor Sunflower Seeds, and Minority Prospects. And we will